Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unboxed. Today we're continuing our discussion about the Black church and unboxing the power and the potential of the Black family.
Family life educator and relationship coach. And welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life.
Hello once again, everyone, and welcome to Unboxed. I'm your host, Dr. Robert Davis. So glad to have you here with us. And we're going to continue talking about building up the Black family, especially how the Black church can be so instrumental in that. And for the last few days, we've been talking about finances. And before we jump right back into that, do me a quick favor. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. That's right. Like, subscribe, and share. Now, we're still going to be answering questions, relationship questions. So if you do have a relationship question, make sure that you shoot it to the email that's right here on your screen. All right. So the last time that we were here, we talked about the Black church, and we learned something very remarkable about the finances of the Black church, which is that the African-American church, unlike other churches, only spend 21% of their budget on personnel, and they spend 25% on facilities. Now, that's very important to understand because, again, as I've shared the last few days, there's this misnomer that African-American preachers are just out here bleeding the poor widows for their Social Security check. As I told you before, Black pastors across denominations, there are some shysters, some hustlers out here, but generally speaking, they're in it for ministry. They work two jobs, so they actually do pastoring on the side because they use their family in order to keep their income going. I mean, they use their other job in order to support their family. But here's the catch. There is money, and historically, the Black church has been the place that launched Black businesses, that helped Blacks to be able to acquire real estate and homes, that fought for civil rights and all these other things. And what I want to encourage each of us is to either A, help our churches to be refocused on financial empowerment of the Black community. 2, begin ministries at your church that can help economically empower the Black community. And or 3, look for a church that's already doing that and partner with them. This is vitally important because, as I shared yesterday, one of the things that the African-American church has that whenever you're talking about a minority people trying to build wealth that's so important is you need trust and you need infrastructure. The African-American church already has trust. People are already pooling their funds together. So it's not a new concept of pooling your funds together. I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. But the second thing the African American church has, they have the infrastructure. You know, every church has a treasurer. They have a finance board. They already have a way of making decisions for the money that they're pooling together. Here is where the Black church needs to step up its game. And the word is intentionality. Since we already have that structure in place, that phenomenal structure of pooling our funds together, we already have that trust factor in place. That's awesome. Now what we need to do is become intentional. And there are 2 things, and I want to encourage those who are watching, who are listening to this, to step up at your local church. And even if you are not necessarily a strong believer, but if you have training in finances, and I'm not just talking about how to make a budget, I'm talking about investing in things of that nature, then find a church in your community and offer your services. Because in order to financially build up the Black community, the church is going to have to do two things very quickly here. Number 1, we have to educate our members on finances and how to be financially literate and financially astute. That's number 1. Every Black church must make an investment in training its members. We cannot just be a religious entertainment production, a weekly religious entertainment production where people come and feel good. We have to be a place, since we have such a good portion of the Black community already showing up at our services, and since we have the structure in place, we have to be intentional as Black churches to educate our people about finances, about debt, about investing, about multiple streams of income, about all of these other things, about real estate, etc. The Black church has to be an education center to teach people about money management. It can't just be, oh, this is your year for breakthrough. God's got you. Your blessing is coming. It has to actually teach people that when the blessing comes, this is how you actually manage the blessing. This is how you don't squander God's resources. The second thing that the Black church has to do is we have to be intentional about pooling our funds together so that we can use those funds for economic empowerment. What do I mean by that? Churches need to individually and collectively, groups of churches, especially if it's easier to do if you're part of a denomination, but individual churches and a collection of churches. Because remember, the average church size is only 65 members. I know we think that churches have, thousands of folk coming because you see that on TV, but no, realistically, the average church has about 65 members showing up from week to week. And we need to maximize those financial resources. So by pooling the funds together and labeling those funds to only be used for various economic empowerment. So for instance, if churches were to say, hey, we want to invest a portion of the money that we collect. We know we got to pay for our personnel. We have to pay for our facility. We've got utilities. We want to make sure that we're doing ministry in the community, but we're going to put in our budget that we're going to put a portion aside for the sole purpose of investing, encouraging the members to also give those monies to investing so they can be used for things. And each church would have to decide how they want to economically empower themselves, but used for things like real estate, using the funds for things like college scholarships so that children can graduate debt-free. That's an awesome economic empowerment tool right there, just getting kids to graduate college debt-free. By making sure, by having small loan grants and small business grants and small business loans to help members be able to start their small business, to get off of their feet, because it doesn't make sense that you're a member of a church for 20 years, but when it comes time to start your business, you got to go down to Bank of America. It doesn't make sense that you're part of a church for 50 years, but when you're ready to buy a house, you got to go to Wells Fargo. That just doesn't make any sense. What makes sense is, and when you look at the New Testament church, go back and read Acts chapter 2 and Acts chapter 4, and they pooled their funds together so that nobody in their midst would not have the economic resources to be able to be self-sustained. And so churches have to do this, and it takes a lot of intentionality and education. So I want to just share with all the pastors, all those who are active in the church, who are listening to this today. I want to put it on your shoulder, because if we're going to build up the Black family, one of the things the Black family needs is economic empowerment. And no greater place for that than in the local church. When we come back here tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how the local church can be intentional about building up the Black family by providing the emotional resources that Black families need. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But today, if churches say, you know what, we're going to do our best to make sure that our members are debt-free, that our members who want to start businesses have the capital. We're in a capitalistic society, so we're going to strategize so that we have the funds to provide our members with capital so that they can be economically independent, economically empowered. This is what the church is supposed to be doing. This is what the church did in the New Testament. This is what the church did right after slavery and through the civil rights movement. I don't know how we got distracted and off track, but we need to get back to it. Listen, that's all the time that I have for today. Please, again, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. And I'll be back here tomorrow as we talk about how the Black church can build the Black family through providing family resources. All right, let's talk about that tomorrow. Until then, continue to unbox the power and the potential of every relationship you're a part of. Have a good day.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.